My name is Ryan Miller, and for the past 15 years, I've helped hundreds of people to raise millions of dollars for their funds and for their startups. If you're serious about raising money, launching your business, or taking your life to the next level, this show will give you the answers so that you too can enjoy your pursuit of making billions. Let's get into it. We all love movies, right? These massive artistic projects delighting fans and families around the world is an important part of connecting as human beings. But did you also know that there are key people that work their tails off just to bring all of that joy to you? Well, my next guest is Mary Aloe, and she is one of those key people. Mary is the producer of Aloe Entertainment. Her work has gone on to result in some of the most iconic movies of our lifetime. Join Mary and I as we discuss what it took to rise to the top of one of the most cutthroat industries in the world and how she structures financing around it. Building financing plans, attracting investors, and executing on successful projects are all skills we need in our pursuit of making billions. Here we go. Hey, welcome to another episode of Making Billions. I'm your host, Ryan Miller, and today I have my dear friend, Mary Aloe. Mary is the producer of Aloe Entertainment. Her work has gone on to produce a massive catalog of movies for the last 3 decades. So what this means is that Mary is a pro that understands the finance industry and what is required to win in one of the most cutthroat industries out there. So Mary's going to get on and tell us all about what it takes to produce the movies in this industry and what's required to win in this sector. So Mary, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Ryan. I'm excited to be here. I love what you're doing. And not 3 decades, but I've definitely been doing about 23 years of films. And that's culminated in about 42 movies. And this year we're setting a record of doing 6 movies. Yes, we can. And we've got several movies coming out. Generally, our Aloe Entertainment, we do about 4 to 5 a year, but this year we said, okay, we're going to do 6. And the exciting thing is that for the first time, we're actually doing some of the movies that I co-wrote with my writing partner, T.M. Hayes. One is starting in Budapest called Bird's Eye in March. And then I can tell you, we're in pre-production right now with Anthony Hopkins, Ireland. I'm up in the Hollywood Hills at the moment, but in Ireland, we've just started pre-production with Anthony Hopkins. He's playing Sigmund Freud, and Matthew Good is playing C.S. Lewis about the existence of God, which is good. I'm a big faith-based girl. That's with Sony. So lots to tell you, and I'm excited about your questions.
We can see these wonderful things and all these amazing things that you've done, and they are absolutely amazing. I think a lot of our fans around the world, we got almost 100 countries that are listening to the show. I'm sure a lot of them, myself included, is how did you get into this industry and where did it start for you?
Right. Well, we all have different paths, right? I think there's a cookie cutter, and I hate to say it, but I'm a college dropout, but I'll say it. I went to SMU first year and then went to USC. And of course, my mom was very unhappy at the time, my soulmate, best friend. But I went to work. But what I will say is if you have the opportunity and the funding or family or support, or you got it on a scholarship, go to college because it's great, but it's not a requirement. Unless you want to be an agent, go to Harvard, Brown, Syracuse, whatever, but you're still going to start in the mailroom there though. So for me, I got to work. And what does that mean? It means I started doing television, unscripted, before it was called reality, a lot of news magazines and talk shows. I moved to New York for a little while and did, Geraldo and things like that. And I kind of can laugh about it now and the things that happened at that show. And I ended up leaving there and coming back to producing news magazine shows at Paramount and some other places. But what it did give me is this incredible background of real life stories. Every morning, us producers were given territories, and Florida and Texas were some of mine, which was a hotbed for all these real life crazy stories. And I became sort of a life rights specialist. And the first movie that I got, it became one of the biggest bidding wars in history for a TV movie. I ended up doing it with Columbia TriStar and NBC. The movie's okay. We did it so fast, but they from beginning to end, we had it on the air in 6 months. Too fast. It's not that great.
Yeah.
But I got $500,000 for that first movie. I split with a partner. I'm like, well, this is easy. Not. And that was about an Iranian princess fell in love with a U.S. Marine, and he smuggled her to America on a plane, and it caused an international incident. And thus began my move into wanting to do movies. And the next project I did was about runaways in New York, and then so on and so on. But I still love doing the real life story. And we could talk more about that, but I want to gear it towards what your show's about.
Yeah, I love that. So it sounds like you hit it off, and like you said, you had a different path in mind, and that didn't involve in college. So you went on, you found your path, you've been trailblazing ever since, and working with TriStar Entertainment. I remember that company; they're huge, they're everywhere. So you've certainly had that. So. Wonderful story. Maybe we can talk a little bit about what you do today.
Yeah. So today, I'll often hold up a script. When I lecture, I'll lecture at different organizations, and I go, who wants to be a producer? Who's here? And of course, everybody's like, raise their hand. They raise their hand. I'm like, okay, great. Because this is my significant other often, right? 14 hours a day. Now I try to table it down to about 10, sometimes 12, and try to limit it to the 5-day week. It's a lot of work. So what I do is I am a film finance expert, self-taught, many, many, many years of listening. I'm still learning and listening. And I have a great roster of investors behind me. Very high net worth young billionaires, a billionaire, a woman who's 64, who's net worth about $500 million, and money multimillionaires. And they're all unique. I consider them all friends, some like family, but they're not real family, blood family, but they're family to me. And all of them have done anywhere from 2 now to 7 movies with me. And the reason why I think they keep reinvesting is because I'm not a hat in the hand girl. I'm not on what I call the do not disturb me ever again list, which I have a number of those guys on. They don't care. They take the money and they run. I call them to take the money and run guys. I actually care, and I'm very meticulous how I pick a movie, what the genre is, who's in it, who's directing it, who's distributing it, or bringing all those elements to the movie myself with our own in-house films. So we're doing a lot. I've got a movie, as I just talked about, with Anthony Hopkins. Then I roll into our own movie that I own with CAA, called Bird's Eye. It's about sexpionage. It's a program that Putin implemented and heightened with the KGB to infiltrate the US, UK at the time, plucking out these beautiful young men and women from high school and colleges and really telling them they were athletic, intelligent, beautiful, that they were there to serve Mother Russia. It was an honor, telling their families. And of course, once they got in, they couldn't get out, gaining the secrets, government secrets, the art of seduction and assassination. And these are based on true life stories. And we're starting that in March. And then I roll into a movie with Benedict Cumberbatch, producing one of the biggest stars in the world. The last one, I think it was Doctor Strange in the Multi-Universe of Madness and the Power of the Dog. He's also producing called Morning, a beautiful film. We're doing that in Cologne. I have another movie with 2 giant stars, but we're going to announce at the Berlin Film Festival in a couple of weeks. I can't announce it. We're going to do that in Prague. So Budapest, Cologne, Germany, Prague. So Ireland, there's a lot all over the world that this profession can take you to, which is exciting in itself. We try to maximize tax incentives. Be risk aversive for your investment. Tax incentives and tax rebates. And those are basically soft loans that recoup after the investor. These are monies provided in each state, not every state in America. And most countries now, not all of them, have that so that you'll come and film there and that they give you millions of dollars. Like one movie we're doing for $12 million with giant stars. $5 million of it is soft money, are monies that are given to us by the government. So it's very exciting and it's good for the investor.
Absolutely. That's phenomenal. And, speaking about investors, typically what can an investor expect when they work with you? About how long do they typically invest and some of those metrics as well?
Great question, Ryan. You're a good interviewer. So let me tell you that generally the coupon time, the turnaround time for the investment, it depends. Is the movie in pre-production? Is it going right away? Maybe it's in principal photography.
Yeah.
I have a movie right now that I'm looking at with Russell Crowe. It's in principal photography, starts next week, but they need a gap piece. That's a great time to get an investor in because they don't have to wait so long. It's generally a year from the start of principal photography. So don't forget, we have pre-production.
Yeah.
That's generally depends on the movie. It could be 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, up to 12 weeks. On the movies where I specialize in the arena are generally sort of the $8 to $30 million range.
Okay.
We have big stars attached. I have a movie coming out with Liam Neeson in 2 weeks, 2,000 screens in America, right? Liam Neeson playing the Philip Marlowe crime drama series, right? But we shot it in Spain and Ireland because we maximize the tax incentives. So what can an investor expect? I'd say I'd like to give it more conservative view. I'd like to give it the 18-month view of the turnaround of the investment. But there's also bridge loans, Ryan. Yeah. Bridge loans where they can make 12.5% to 15% return higher than the bank. Yeah. Okay. They can make that return by just putting up a bridge and getting paid out first when the movie starts pre-production or principal photography. Or there's equity. I specialize a lot with my incredible investors, and each one is unique. I bring each one different projects, rarely not the same. They're so different. They're all U.S. based. Well, that's not true. I have some in Dubai now. The bottom line is generally it's a 20% return on the equity. And what is the equity? The equity is sitting first out against domestic, or it's sitting back behind the senior piece, the collateralized loan against the sales on domestic or international. That piece, you get the highest rate, that 20% return. Plus, they get what we call the real estate, the back end points, right? That's the contingent compensation. So they not only, let's say they put $1 million in, we'll just use that figure for a second. Then they would get 1.2 million back, right? Okay. Plus, if they have 5 points, they would get all the revenues: mobile, airline, digital, AVOD, streaming, theatrical, if there is, PVOD, premium. It's the gift that keeps on giving. It doesn't stop.
Wow.
And that's in perpetuity, by the way, Brian.
Wow. That's phenomenal. So I could see why a lot of your investors stick with you. That's phenomenal. Not only do you do these crazy, or not crazy, but incredible things with incredible people, incredibly talented people, I would say yourself included, but you're also able to do what this business is designed to do, which is to generate a profit. And so not only do you have all of the industry knowledge, but you're also a finance expert within this industry, which I would say is a pretty short list of you and maybe a few other people that can straddle both areas. So absolutely.
Well, one of the things, if you're a real, I say this, it sounds smug, if you're a producer that really works hard, hires crews, develops it, or come in, there's really, I wear 3 caps, right?
Yep.
There's executive producer, where you'll see some of my credits are executive. That's where I mainly brought more money in, or some of it was packaged, meaning stars were attached, or a star was attached, or a big director. And I brought in a piece of the equity or mezzanine because I went through it. What is mezzanine? Think about it like a theater, right? So the equity is sitting right in that front row.
Yep.
Okay. The mezzanine, just like it sounds, is sitting right behind them. And there's the senior lender. So I would say that why they're sticking with me is because I also mandate a bond company. Yep. There's top bond companies, FFI, Media Guarantors, Unify. All of those are top bond. Yeah. But I also mandate, which is the most important thing here, called a CAMA. It stands for Collection Agency Management Agreement.
Okay.
My daddy owns the biggest company in the world. They did 350 movies over the last year and a half. Okay. Wow. They're the accounting firm, #1 for films. Also, Vintage House is quite good. Okay. There's not really any others that I would work with. I like to work with Freeway. So what is that? Well, the investor actually gets to go in, and it's called dashboard accounting. So they actually get to go in and log in a portal, right? I make sure the investor is a beneficiary that can have access to the portal, or a signatory.
Okay.
What does that mean? The camera rules. So you're in the waterfall there, your investments in there, and your points. So you get to see in real time what just was made in Malaysia, what was made in Germany, what was made in UK and France and Italy. You get to see in real time. There's no guessing.
Yeah.
Now, on the domestic side, if you have a Sony deal or a Warner Brothers or Paramount, and it's a major studio, they have their own accounting system. It'll still flow through the camera, but it's a little harder. But if you go with a Lionsgate, an Open Road, any of those mini majors, right? New Relativity, any of that, they'll go through the camera, or the boutiques will go through the camera. It's important. So if the movie does well, you get to see everything. The investor gets to log in and see their revenues in real time coming in. If it doesn't do well, you can explain it. Here's the repercussion. Not every movie will do well. And if an investor, if a producer guarantees your money back, get up and walk out of that room. Okay.
Yep.
However, a person to guide you understands about the ROI analysis, the pro forma, the sales estimates, what kind of genre it is. Don't get enamored just because I just finished a movie with Robert De Niro and Jamie Foxx, but that's a great movie. It's an action thriller about a hot topic, PTSD, and the government, right? And a great director did Lincoln Lawyer and all these other. But don't get enamored by just that. You never know, what could happen.
So as we round third base, I'm just wondering, maybe if you have some tips that you can leave some of our listeners around the world of just what you've learned from your amazing experience. Maybe you can help us understand from all of this, what has it taught you? And maybe you can carry that forward of what you can teach some of our fans.
Well, I definitely want to carry it forward. I mean, one of the most important things is to give back. And the reason I'm doing much I'm doing is for personal reasons, for animals and things like that. That's a whole nother show. But for me, I do like to be a role model. I definitely have what I would say. I love working with guys, by the way. I'm like, I want to work with women. But I do have sort of an army of young women that are worked under me that are really doing kicking butt. And I've taught them everything I know. And they are... There's 3 I can name right now that are just doing great. So I'm really proud of that. And giving back. And I think the other way is in the medium of using this powerful medium and putting a message out. Battle in Seattle that I did with Charlize Theron about the World Trade Organization. Worth with Stanley Tucci and Michael Keaton, about Ken Feinberg's story, about the 9/11 compensation fund. He was hired by the insurance companies to do as little as he could for the victims' families. But the arc was he went to the other side and helped them all. Cool. I'm looking to I've got 2 offices, but this one here, the 55 steps about how a young woman, Eleanor Reese, works from the inside. She institutionalized herself. Great question. And nobody's asked me that before. Leave it to you. You're so smart. So no, it's important. I know guys running around and women, but mostly guys running around. I call them I call them a few things, but what I can say on air is the hat in the hand guys, the hat in the hand, that they don't care, or they'll take the money and run guys, or modern day pirates. And I put them on what I call do not disturb me ever again list.
That's right.
One of the worst things you can say to me, because I have such high net worth investors, is, and I've had this recently, I was at the American film market and I had, probably 40 meetings. It's like speed dating for meetings. And one of the people said, "Oh, look, I'm going to introduce you to so-and-so. This is a billionaire. They don't care if they get their money back." And I thought, I'm never going to work with you. I didn't say that, but I knew that I wasn't going to, because one of the things that's important here is first and foremost rule is treat their money as your own. Demand the bond to be completion bond guarantor. Spell it out. Completion bond guarantor. The bond company. It completes the film. Demand to have a camo, right? Demand to be meticulous. Not only the camo, but you're all the way through post. How's it going? All the way through the music. How's it going? All the way through the K1s or the 1099s, whatever it is. Yeah. Don't forget them. So many people take the money, pat them on the head. Thanks so much. You can't get them back. And I've had producers before try to do that to me, but it's my investors. So if I'm considered a bit of a pit bull, also I rescue pit bulls, so I'm fine with that. Call me one, but I'm going to protect them first and foremost. Also, if it's the investor's money and you don't own the project, you're not the lead producer, give them the back end points, give them the contingent compensation, give them the real estate. I almost never take it, okay? Unless it's my own movie where I'm justifying the points, give them. The other is make sure that you're doing an ROI analysis or pro forma. Really look at this, look at the sales estimates, who's involved in it, who's selling the movie internationally, who's the distribution company. There's a couple distribution companies, I'm not going to name them, but I will not work with them because the investors never see their money back. I put that in the contract specifically, will not use these companies. Wow. But that's by learning and doing. Yeah. And, there's certain people, one movie we just got in on, I knew the producer and I said, I won't work with him. And they finally figured him out, ousted him out, and I came in on the money. It's very important that they're treated well, that they get the right percentage. If it's equity, 20%. If it's mezzanine, it's 15 to 17, sometimes 18% on their money. If it's a senior loan or a gap, it's 12.5 to 15. If it's a bridge loan, about 12.5 to 15, depending how badly they need the bridge. Yeah. So I think it's making the wise choices, giving everything as risk averse as possible to the investor while enjoying this. And also, hey, you want to have fun and experience it. So I'm always caring that the investor needs to be able to go out to set if they want to for a few days. Always at least 3 to 4 days, 3 nights, be around. If you can have dinner with the star and some of the crew, the producers, or a lunch. If not, but hopefully you can, get some pictures with the star. Also the red carpet when it comes up. These are things. Also get them a poster for their office. For gosh sakes, how difficult is that? So these are the little perks and the fun things while they enjoy the process because everybody loves movies. Yes. But, this is a business, film business. Get their money back. You can't guarantee it, but you better do everything you can and make these wise choices to do so. And my investors will get on the phone and be able to say, yes, she is. That's why we keep. I mean, the investor I'm doing Bird's Eye with, this is our 7th movie since 2019.
That's incredible. And, one of the things you've taught me, I guess it would relate to this, is make sure that you come with a fully packaged deal to your investors. First contact. Right. That thing needs to have a bow on it, the script, the financing, the actors, and this applies. So we're talking about your industry, but we're also not. We're talking about any industry, venture capital, private equity.
Yeah, great.
Exactly. So to Mary's advice that she taught me, I'm extending it. So I'm doing you a favor. This is where I heard it from. So Mary, make sure that when you step in front of an investor, and we all do, if we're running, whether you're a startup or a fund, make sure that you've got that full package figured out. This is how Mary does it. This is why she's risen to the top of her industry. You didn't say that. I certainly see it that way. Doing that, getting in front of the investors, absolutely make sure that you do what Mary does to get them to stick with you long-term is, hey, remember on our first contact, I had it all figured out. Here's the financing. Here's when it's going to be done. Here's all the details you're going to need to know. Any questions? You know how impressive that is? I've had people do that to me. Blows my mind. And your first thought as an investor is, I'm never going to let this person out of my sight. Like they're phenomenal. They got it figured out. This is a winner.
And also just be very honest with them. Always give them the opportunity to say no. I always say a fast no is second to a yes. And the other thing is, a lot of them come with big attorneys. Befriend the attorney. Do right by this. Let them know they can trust you and work with them. I not only do that, but I do all the due diligence. If I don't own the movie, we go through the copyright, chain of title, the sales agreement, the star's long forms. You have to do it all. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. It's not so glamorous. Everybody sees the red carpet. That's where the investor should go. Everybody sees the set. The investor should come in. But it's also a lot of work. And trust is earned on this. So, it's exciting. And, all of my investors are different. One owns a currency company. It's a couple. One through a divorce. One is a billionaire to a food empire. They're all one from a cable huge company. They're all different. But one thing that is the same is take care of them, be transparent, give them an opportunity to say why they shouldn't do the project, but here's really why you should, why this made it to the top. Listen, I turned down financing, I'll say this, on the Whitney Houston movie, okay? Now, it didn't do well in America. It's doing well overseas. I'm not going to go into specific details, but I felt the investment was very risky for what I was looking at for my investors.
That's right.
And believe me, it was a big, shiny coin. They have the whole Whitney Houston catalog. They have Clive Davis behind them. And I thought the budget was big. So for me, not for somebody else, it just wasn't what I wanted to say yes to. I turned down a Brad Pitt, Harry Styles movie because the script wasn't good. I didn't get blown away by, of course, those two amazing actors.
Yeah, actors are great. Yeah.
Yeah. So you have to look at everything. And you also have to make sure your client, your financial investor doesn't get enamored for the wrong reasons, because they may lose their money in the end if they do.
Wow, that is phenomenal. Now, I know you're a busy lady, and you've been very generous to spend a few minutes with us and our fans around the world. So, if I could speak on behalf of all of our fans around the world, thank you for coming on the show and sharing with us your success stories and everything that we do. So just to summarize everything, getting investors to stick with you, have a fully packaged plan, make sure that you come to them prepared. And also, I love what you said, be the pit bull for your investors. They will love you for it. You treat their money like it's your own. You fight all the way to the end. Obviously, you can't provide guarantees, but the one thing they will never question is how hard you fought for them. That is phenomenal advice for anyone managing any asset or money for anybody. Do what Mary does. Get final products in front of your investors, produce award-winning content, bring them along for the ride, show them the show, show them your product, whatever it is you're building. Give them a sample of what their money has done. This is absolutely brilliant advice, and I could see why Mary is a pro. You do these things, and you too will be well on your way in your pursuit of making billions. What a show. I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I did. Now, if you haven't done so already, be sure to leave a comment and review on new ideas and guests you want me to bring on for future episodes. Plus, why don't you head over to YouTube and see extra takes while you get to know our guests even better. And make sure to come back for our next episode where we dive even deeper into the people, the process, and the perspectives of both investors and founders. Until then, my friends, stay hungry, focus on your goals, and keep grinding towards your dream of making billions.